A coalition government seems further than ever after interim Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoğlu, the chairman of the Justice and Development Party, AK Party, announced on Monday that the Nationalist Movement Party, MHP, said that it did not think a coalition was possible after talks between the two parties. The MHP leader said he did not think it was possible to form a coalition with the AK Party given the MHP's preconditions, Davutoğlu said at a press conference following the meeting with the MHP leader on Monday. Davutoğlu also revealed that MHP leader Devlet Bahçeli had told him the MHP would vote no should a vote take place in parliament over an early election. The meeting between the two leaders began at around 2:20 p.m. on Monday and lasted for 2.5 hours. Davutoğlu said he would if necessary hand over the mandate to form the government to President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan after taking up the issue with the party's ruling council and consulting the president. However, even if Erdoğan were to give the mandate to the leader of the main opposition Republican People's Party, CHP, the CHP would stand almost no chance of forging a coalition government. It was reported that Bahçeli would make a statement about the talks with Davutoğlu after seeing the content of Davutoğlu's statement. During the talks in the MHP leader's office in Parliament, Bahçeli was accompanied by MHP Deputy Chairman Semih Yalın while Labour and Social Security Minister Faruk Çelik was a key figure in the AK Party team. Many commentators now think that an early election is the most likely scenario, most possibly in November or at the end of October. The possibility of a coalition government between the AK Party and the MHP is thought to be slim, considering the preconditions set by the MHP. The MHP made it clear last week following the failure of the coalition talks between the AK Party and the CHP that it will not be part of a coalition government designed to be in place only until an early election, nor will it offer support to an AK Party minority government until an early election. Implicated in graft probes that went public on December 17 and 25, 2013. Several leading AK Party figures, including then Prime Minister Erdoğan, were implicated in far-reaching corruption. The AK Party previously refused to discuss the topic as a part of coalition talks, saying the issue could only be brought up in parliament. The third precondition is a restriction of Erdoğan's use of power to within his constitutional limits, while the fourth is for Erdoğan to return to the traditional presidential palace in the Kankia neighborhood of Ankara rather than using the newly built presidential palace. Such a move would symbolize Erdoğan's acceptance of remaining within the limits of the constitution when exercising his authority. The MHP's fifth precondition is that Articles 1 to 4 of the constitution, which underline the indivisible nature of the country and say that Turkish is the official language of the state, remain unchanged. Following the general election on June 7, Erdoğan has been widely accused by the opposition of working against the formation of a coalition between the AK Party and the CHP. CHP Parliamentary Group Deputy Chairman Engin Altay has argued that the interim AK Party government should not remain in power in the case of an early election, although admitting that the issue is ambiguous according to the constitution and the parliamentary bylaw. Noting that the current government did not win a majority, Altay told reporters in Parliament ahead of the talks between the AK Party and the MHP that it would not be a reasonable development. The AK Party and Erdoğan appear to support the idea of Parliament voting for an early election should talks fail. In such a case, the AK Party will most probably remain in power until the election, which is expected to be held within 3 months, possibly in November. If, on the other hand, it is the president who calls for an early election, then an election government in which all 4 parties represented in parliament are represented should to be formed, as per the constitution, Altay said. The 4 parties could forge an election government through a compromise in parliament, he added. Just hours before the coalition talks between the MHP and the CHP, AK Party Deputy Selçuk Zita told the Doğan news agency on Monday that he did not expect the 2 parties to strike a deal. Accusing MHP leader Devlet Bahçeli of having insulted Erdoğan and telling the AK Party how to proceed in the coalition talks, Zita said he thought the possibility of a coalition between the 2 parties was low. Zita said that an early election could be held on October 25. Erdoğan said last week that he does not consider Bahçeli to be worth talking to because the MHP leader made insulting remarks about him and his family. After Davutoğlu began talks with party leaders in mid-July, Bahçeli several times called on the AK party and the CHP to forge a coalition, saying that it would be the best option for the country. Bahçeli also said that Erdoğan's son Bilal should be called to account on charges of corruption and expressed his skepticism that Erdoğan would allow the AK party to forge a coalition with the MHP under such circumstances. The MHP leader said in a statement last week that an early election is no longer an option, given the serious security problems the country has faced over the past weeks. Top MHP officials said last week following the failure of the lengthy talks between the AK party and the CHP that negotiations with the MHP would not be so long. The MHP officials said that it would become clear within a day whether or not a coalition with their party would be possible. Ahead of Davutoğlu's announcement, Labor and Social Security Minister Çelik told reporters that the talks went positively, adding, "Our Prime Minister will make soon a very important and positive statement."